Welcome back to Design, Create, Innovate. In today's video, I am going to attempt to make the absolute most brilliant vise for me. I have made lots and lots of vices, and some have definitely worked better than others. But today I'm going to try and make a really good working vice to swap with my Moxman vice over there. So I'll start off as usual by going and fetching my materials. So for the jaws of the vice, I'm going to use this scrap here. It's decently long, so I'll cut it in half so it'll leave me quite big jaws. And it's really thick as well, which is ideal. And then I also have some threaded rod. Preferably, I would have liked to get something slightly thicker, but this is all that I've lying around. And a scrap of copper tubing. Right, so now that I've got all my materials, well, of course, minus the nuts, but I've just got them in my toolbox, we need to make a start. For once, I have actually written myself a plan, so I will be referring to this as the video goes on. I've marked the centre in this part of the vise here. It's just there, and I'm going to drill through and into the other one. But to make sure that I get a 90-degree hole, I'm going to use this piece of wood next to the drill bit. I have drilled the hole for this copper guide rail into this piece off camera, and now I can kind of see how the vise is going to turn out. I've decided just to have a guide rail on this side. I don't think it will mean that there'll be any less pressure on this side, but it does mean that I'll be able to clamp longer pieces of wood on that side, which is just ideal. I now need to drill a mounting hole in this piece for the copper to go into, but I'm not going to do it all the way through so you can't see it from that side. I am now going to glue in this piece of copper into this jaw just with some hot glue, and then I'll hammer it in. I'm just going to leave this on this other piece on here for 30 seconds to make sure that this dries straight. I've now drilled a 1 centimetre in diameter hole in this piece of wood that stays stationary, and I am just mounting 2 nuts onto this piece of spare threaded rod. Then I'm going to put the threaded rod in that hole with the nuts going first. And then I'll just unscrew this. So now there are 2 nuts stuck inside that piece of wood. But I haven't glued them in. So if I start putting a piece of thread rod in there, and if I start unscrewing it, these nuts will most likely come out. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to keep them inside. So to stop those nuts from coming out of there, I'm going to take a scrap of 3 plywood and then put it over there and drill the right sized hole. But if I just screw it straight onto there, it's going to sit a little bit proud. So I'm going to have to take out a very small chunk in there so I can make that sit flush in there. And the router isn't working, so I'm just going to use a chisel to do that job. So now the 2 nuts are trapped inside there and they won't be coming out. Right, it's time for my first sort of test assembly. So I'll just start with this guide rail. And then I'll take my threaded rod. It's already on a handle, but it's not the best handle, so I think I'm going to have to make a new one that's slightly bigger. Right, I'm having a bit of a problem with tightening this up. And I think what the problem is, there are 2 nuts inside there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just take this piece off and get one of those nuts out of there. And then I think it should turn much better. So I've taken this nut out of there and I'll just try it again. Right, now that I've only got 1 nut in there, this seems to turn... Oh, sorry. This seems to turn much easier. And super happy with that. Right. So, as I said earlier, I'm just going to redo this handle. And there's already a hole in there, so I'm basically just going to move that hole down there. So I've got a bit more room to turn, and it should turn it up a bit quicker. So the vise is up and running. I've finished the handle, and if I do say so myself, it looks pretty cool. It is a little bit heavier than I would have liked it to have been. These pieces are really quite substantial, but it does mean that it will hopefully give a good grip on the piece of wood that I want to cut. The vise that is currently here is my Moxman vise, but I'm going to have to completely take it off to install this vise on this corner and leg here. Although I'll probably be able to switch its orientation round so I can use it as another leg vise. That would be quite a good idea, I think. So the vise is going to sit on this corner here. And to install it, I think I'm just going to have to take off this part. I think that'd be easier to drill and screw the holes. I've drilled and countersunk the holes in this piece just at the top. Oh dear. Right, that seems solid enough, and now I need to get the other part of the vise. Okay, this vise may come out quite far, but I don't think it will be as strong clamping wide pieces like this. So I'm just going to screw it up a bit more and try and get a thinner piece to try and give a demonstration. So I've got a piece clamped in here and it really seems to be relatively solid. I don't think it is as solid as a pre-bought vise, but I definitely really enjoyed making this vise, and it kind of looks cool. Excellent. I think what I might have to do in the future is find out a way to support this guide rail here, because it's still wobbling around quite a lot. Or something else that I might have to do, and what I'll probably do is put another guide rail in there to stop it wobbling around quite so much. That's the end of today's video. If you have liked the video, please feel free to like and subscribe.